October 12, 2000, Aden Harbor, Yemen, 11:18 local time. USS Cole sits pierside for refueling. Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, DDG-67, Aegis combat system, vertical launch missiles, 5-inch gun, phalanx close-in weapon system, torpedoes, harpoon anti-ship missiles. This warship can engage aircraft, missiles, submarines, and surface threats simultaneously. But right now in a friendly port, during a routine fuel stop, none of those weapons are manned. The destroyer has been moored for less than 2 hours. Fuel lines connect the ship to shore facilities. The crew operates at modified duty stations. Some sailors work on deck. Others are below, preparing equipment for the next deployment phase to the Persian Gulf. This is a scheduled stop, standard procedure. The port of Aden is considered a partner location for U.S. Navy operations in the region. A small fiberglass boat approaches from across the harbor. Length, approximately 20 feet, 2 occupants. The boat looks like typical harbor craft. Sewage removal, trash collection. These vessels operate constantly around Navy ships during port visits. Nobody perceives a threat. The boat moves toward the Cole's port side, midship section, directly beneath the ship's galley where dozens of sailors are preparing lunch. The boat positions itself against the hull. At 11:18 hours, it detonates. Between 400 and 700 pounds of C4 explosive, shaped into a directional charge, rips through the destroyer's hull. The blast tears an 11-meter hole in the port side, precisely at the waterline. The galley is destroyed instantly. The engine room begins flooding. The auxiliary machinery room takes water. Electrical systems fail across multiple compartments. Communications go down. The ship lists 4 degrees to port as seawater pours through the massive breach. 17 sailors die in the explosion. 39 are wounded. Some injuries are catastrophic. Burns, shrapnel wounds, blast trauma. The ship's medical personnel begin triage immediately, but they're overwhelmed. The closest hospital is in Aden. Evacuation begins within minutes. Damage control teams respond within 90 seconds of the blast. The ship's chief engineer assumes command of the flooding response. Every available sailor not killed, wounded, or fighting fires moves to the damaged sections. They have minutes to contain the flooding before the destroyer sinks. The tactical problem is severe. Seawater enters the hull faster than pumps can remove it. The hole is too large to patch from inside. The crew executes damage control procedures exactly as trained. Watertight doors and hatches around the flooded compartments are sealed. This isolates the damage and prevents water from spreading throughout the ship. Portable pumps are positioned in spaces that can still be saved. Dewatering begins immediately. Welding teams start fabricating steel patches from whatever material is available. Divers enter flooded compartments to assess structural integrity and search for survivors. The work continues non-stop for 96 hours. Crews rotate in shifts. The heat inside the ship exceeds 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity from seawater evaporation makes breathing difficult. Sailors work until exhaustion, sleep for a few hours, then return to damage control stations. The Cole does not sink. Through textbook execution of damage control doctrine, the crew saves the ship. They pump thousands of gallons of water. They shore up weakened bulkheads with timber and steel. They weld temporary patches over the blast hole. They manually operate systems designed for electrical automation. But the attack exposes a catastrophic security vulnerability. The rules of engagement for U.S. Navy ships in friendly ports do not authorize deadly force against small boats unless hostile intent is clearly demonstrated. A fishing boat or harbor utility vessel approaching a destroyer is not considered hostile. By the time the Cole's crew realized the boat was a weapon, detonation occurred. After-action investigations revealed the depth of the failure. Al-Qaeda operatives planned the attack for months. They surveilled the port. They studied U.S. Navy refueling schedules. They observed security procedures. They identified the exact weakness. Small boats can approach Navy ships in port without being engaged. They exploited that gap with precision. The FBI and Naval Criminal Investigative Service identify the bombers as Al-Qaeda operatives linked directly to Osama bin Laden's network. The attack is not an isolated incident. It's part of a broader campaign against American military targets. The same organization, the same willingness to use suicide tactics, the same strategic objective: inflict maximum casualties on U.S. forces. 1 year later, the same group executes the September 11th attacks. The Cole bombing was the warning that went unheeded. The Navy's response is comprehensive and immediate. Force protection measures for ships in port undergo complete revision. New rules of engagement authorize warning shots and escalating force against any vessel that ignores commands to maintain distance. Armed security teams now deploy on deck during all port visits in elevated threat regions. Small boat exclusion zones are established around every Navy vessel. Violations are met with lethal force if necessary. Destroyers refueling in high-threat ports now maintain weapon systems in ready status. The failing CIWS can be activated in seconds. Small-caliber weapons are manned continuously. Watch teams monitor radar and visual contacts 24 hours per day. Nobody assumes friendly intent anymore. USS Cole is transported back to the United States aboard a heavy lift vessel. The destroyer is too damaged to make the Atlantic crossing under its own power. Repairs take 14 months. Cost $250 million. The ship returns to active service in April 2002. The 17 sailors killed in the attack are memorialized at Naval Station Norfolk, Virginia. Their names are engraved on a monument. Every year on October 12th, a ceremony is held. The names are read aloud at Navy installations worldwide. The youngest victim was 19 years old. The oldest was 39. But beyond memorials and ceremonies, the lessons of the Cole bombing fundamentally changed how the Navy operates. The assumption that friendly ports are safe disappeared. The idea that small boats are harmless was destroyed. The concept that rules of engagement could delay defensive action proved fatal. Every commanding officer who pulls into a foreign port today operates under the Cole precedent. Trust nothing. Verify everything. Assume every approaching vessel could be hostile. Maintain constant vigilance. Be prepared to use force without hesitation. The asymmetry of the attack remains stark. The suicide boat cost Al-Qaeda less than $10,000 to build and operate. The destroyer it attacked was valued at over $1 billion. 17 American sailors died. 2 terrorists died. The material damage was eventually repaired. The psychological impact never faded. Modern naval security doctrine now assumes that asymmetric threats are the primary danger in port. Not enemy warships, not submarines. Small boats, swimmers, divers, truck bombs on piers, insider threats among port workers. The threats are low-tech, low-cost, and devastating when successful. USS Cole continues operating today. Same hull number, DDG-67. The destroyer has deployed to the Mediterranean, the Persian Gulf, and the Atlantic. The crew that saved the ship in Aden Harbor is long since rotated to other assignments. But the legacy remains. Every damage control drill, every security brief, every port approach. Cole is the example of what happens when assumptions replace vigilance. The question every Navy captain confronts before entering any port: could it happen here? Could a small boat loaded with explosives approach during refueling? Could security protocols fail the same way? Could the next routine port visit become a mass casualty event? Nobody has a perfect answer, but the Navy learned one absolute truth in Aden Harbor on October 12, 2000. The line between peacetime operations and combat no longer exists. Every port is potentially hostile. Every small boat is potentially a weapon. Every moment of complacency is potentially fatal. The sailors who died aboard USS Cole learned that lesson at the cost of their lives. The Navy that survived the attack ensures the lesson is never forgotten.